Okay, so welcome back, guys, to our first full week of e-learning. So today we're going to be reviewing how to write decimals in word form. This is a review of previous e-learning lessons. It's going to hopefully be a helpful refresher since it's been a couple of weeks since our last video lessons. But our new focus will be a lesson on writing decimals in expanded form. So I'm going to be toggling back and forth between screens, so just be patient with me. I'm going to expand this. So up until this point, you learned how to represent tenths and hundredths on a 10 by 10 grid. So for example, this decimal up here is 0.14. We've already learned how to represent that using a 10 by 10 grid. So the 1 is in the tenths place. Right here, it clearly shows that we have 1/10, right? We have one whole row out of 10 rolled shaded. And then the 4 is in the hundreds place. So we have 4 yellow squares out of the total 100 to represent 4 hundredths. That's just how you would write it as a fraction and then how you write it as a decimal. Now, to write this in word forms, we basically just say what we said, how we say it as a fraction. So 14 hundredths, you would write exactly what you heard, 14 hundredths, and you write it in words. We're going to be focusing now on expanding that, writing it in expanded form. So I'm going to show you another screen. So just like with whole numbers, we can write whole numbers in expanded form and word form. We can do that with decimals too. So this number up here, we have a whole number of 356. And we can take each of those digits and we think about the place value that it's in. So, for example, the 6 is in the ones place, 5's in the tens, and the 3's in the hundreds. To expand that, we write that 300 plus 50 plus 6. And this is what it would look like in word form. We basically just write what we say, how we would say the number out loud, 356. So since we can do that in with whole numbers, we can do the exact same thing with decimals. I'm going to go back to my screen here. So here we have 14 hundredths as a fraction and decimal and how we would write that in words. Now to expand it, we just think about the place value of each digits. We don't have anything in the ones. So we go to the left of the decimal or the right of the decimal and we come to a 1. The 1 is in the tenths. So that can be written as 1/10 plus, and we go to the fours digits. It's in the hundreds, so we write that 4 hundredths. And together, that equals 14 hundredths. This shows expanded fraction. How you would write that in expanded decimal notation is like this. We have 0.1, which means 1/10, or 10 100ths, plus 4 hundredths. We don't have anything in the 10 spot, right? Because we're thinking about each digit separately as we expand it. So let's do another example. So right here, I have the decimal 4.62. Now, if you look at this one's a little bit different. We have a 4 in the ones place. So I'm going to show you what that will look like with base 10 blocks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 wholes. We have 6 tenths or 61 hundredths, which is represented by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rods, and then 2 hundredths. 1, 2, 2 out of 100. So we would write that in word form, 464 and 62 hundredths. When you see the decimal, that's when you say the word and. So you say 4 and 62 hundredths. To expand that, we write 4 plus 6 tenths, because the 6 is in the tenths place, plus 2 hundredths, because the 2 is in hundredths. And this is what it would look like if you expanded it with using just fractions. Okay, we're going to go to another example. Okay, now we can also switch the order in which we do that. Sometimes I'm going to be giving you a number and it's already going to be in word form, and I want you to show me an expanded form and maybe a fraction form. So here we have 6 and 500ths. So I have 6 wholes, 5 100ths represented as a pictorial, and then this is how we would write it as a fraction. We have 6 and 500ths. As a decimal, it looks like this, 6 and 500ths. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to expand that. You guys can do this along with me. So if you have a paper or a pencil, go ahead and do that with me. I'm going to put up my little calculator down here so you can see it. So I'm going to write 6, just 1 6. I'm going to add a plus sign, and there's nothing in the tenth spot, so I don't have to put anything. So I'm going to go to the hundredths. There's 5 100ths. So I'm going to write that 5 100ths as a decimal, 0.05. And this is what it would look like in expanded form. Let's make that a little bit bigger. So 6 and 500ths. One more, and then I'm going to let you guys go ahead and practice some. We'll probably be practicing these all week. Okay. Here I just have the number 206 and 4/10. Well, I'm going to ask you guys to write this first in a fraction form, then decimal form, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to use expanded form. So 206 and 4/10. So I'm going to write that as a fraction. I'm going to get my little, there we go. So here's the word and. I'm going to know that's where the decimal goes. So I'm going to look at this number before the decimal, 206. That's a whole number. It's not a decimal. So I'm going to write 200. Remember, I'm going to expand the whole thing, 200 plus, there's nothing in the tens, so there's 600ths. So 206, that's how we would expand that. And then to that, I'm going to add my decimal notation. I have 4/10. So the 0.4 or 4100ths. I don't have anything in the hundredths, so I don't need to include that. So this is how you would write that in expanded form. 206 plus 400ths. Now to look at as for a fraction, again, I'm going to show my calculator. 200 plus 6 plus 4/10, or we could say that is 4100ths. So again, if you wanted to see that with an expanded fraction, that's what that would look like. And again, how to write this is just a simple fraction. We write 206 and 4/10. So voila. So we have word form, expanded decimal, expanded